Hello everyone. Thank you for attending today's webinar, Improving Handover and Data Exchange Between EPCMs and Owner-Operators. Our presenter today is Koen Vromans of Lucello, who will help you to discover how to ensure data consistency and minimize costs related to the handover of critical engineering content between project stakeholders. But before we begin, a bit of housekeeping. I want to let everyone know that you're in listen-only mode. Please make note of any questions you may have as we go along, and at the end of the presentation, we'll invite you to type your questions, which I will then read to Koen for him to answer. Additionally, all those attending today will receive a thank you email from us with a link to view the recorded version of this webinar. So with that, Koen, you can go ahead and begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Susan. Today, EPCM contractors and owner-operators work together in a project-driven environment and are challenged to reduce cost, optimize time, and minimize risk in order to ensure project and asset lifecycle efficiency. With the exchange of engineering data being such an important part of the project and asset lifecycle, a controlled document exchange and handover process between multiple project participants must be in place. On today's agenda, we have the following topics. First, we're going to look at the market dynamics, what's going on in this EPCM and owner-operator world. Then we're going to show you the engineering data management solution of Lucello. I'm going to demonstrate the handover and data exchange process with Lucello Meridian Enterprise, and we will summarize the business benefits of this entire process. As Susan already said, we will do the question and answers after the presentation and demonstration. So what if you could? Let's look at the savings. Reduce data handover time by 75%. Improve data integrity to 100%. Save your document printing and sending cost by 3 million euros or dollars on an annual basis, and increase plant availability up to 95%. These are the challenges that our customers are facing today, and here we also have the solutions for. So if you look at the market dynamics in today's world, we talk about risk, we talk about volatility, and we talk about profitability. Risk in terms of project deviations, reputation, and knowledge scarcity. Volatility or changes into a disintegrated industry. We see an outsourced environment where owner-operators outsource more and more work to engineering contractors. We also see changing regulations and technology shifts, for example, to a cloud-based, SaaS-based solution. On profitability, activities are outsourced to third parties, project performance is measured in time and budget, and we need to react faster to the market demands. So now comes the question, are you in control of your projects? Do you have a complete overview? Are you aware of all the changes during a project? And can you facilitate company standards and guidelines and maybe process standards and industry regulations? When the answer is yes, we can provide you with an engineering data management platform to discover, monitor and protect your project information related to your assets. Diving a bit further into the engineering data management platform, you can find your project data faster and more accurate. We provide you with a single point of engineering data for both the owner-operators and the engineering contractors, and we provide you with possibilities for optimizations and improved efficiency. We can monitor the project progress and execution. We can monitor engineering deviations, and we can also monitor the supplier performance. Are the documents delivered on time? Are the schedules met within the project? Then we can also protect the data for completeness and consistency. Also the data related to your asset information. We can facilitate regulatory compliance in several industries. And we can make sure that all the information, all the knowledge is available to all the right people at the right time. This gives us the engineering data management platform where we can leverage business applications like Office, CAD tools, but also enterprise asset management and enterprise content management applications. Our solution is configurable and adaptive towards the processes of our customers, and we provide the solution with an authentication and authorization model in order to give the right rights and access to the right people. Especially when you have to talk between owner-operators and engineering contractors, you need to make sure that authentication of the system is guaranteed so that everybody will see the right information. Not too much, but also not too less information. So who's going to use the information? Who's going to use the solution for engineering data management? Operations, technology, engineering, project managers, basically all disciplines in the organization that need to have the technical data at their hands, both in the project phase and in the asset operations phase. In the solution, we provide you with a system of record to manage master data, project data, and data exchange. And we provide integrations to other systems, as I already mentioned, but now they are named. For enterprise asset management, we have integration with SAP, Infor, IBM Maximo, Ultimo, CAD tools like Autodesk, MicroStation, SolidWorks, Office, the regular Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Visio, etc., ERP solutions and ECM, where we have SharePoint, FileNet, Documentum, and LiveLink integrations. This provides us with a number of value drivers in order to improve the efficiency, reduce cost, enhance quality, become regulatory compliant, and utilize capital and operational expenditures. So let's look at the handover and data exchange process, abbreviated to ALIM, Asset Lifecycle Information Management. At this webinar we will only touch at the high level at Asset Lifecycle Information Management. For next month we have scheduled a follow-up webinar where a consultant from ARC will help us and explain more about this process. For today, only the high-level explanation is done. We start an asset lifecycle with planning and definition from a capital project perspective. Then we do the design, the basic design, the basis of design, and the detail engineering. Outsourcing, procurement, subcontracting takes place. We go further into construction, which typically is also outsourced nowadays. Commissioning takes place, approval and validation according to the regulation of a particular industry. Handover to operations. Operations is starting up the plant. Maintenance takes place. We're going to monitor, analyze and optimize and come up with improvements in order to make the operations of the plant or asset even better. And then the whole circle starts again. So this process is what we will demonstrate you today, and we will demonstrate the process according to all the information that is being exchanged and handed over in several phases within that entire process. So if you look at the information, it's quite overwhelming. We have the 3D CAD, the basis of design at the start of the project, subcontracting, 2D, master document list, equipment list, all that kind of information is being exchanged, has to be handed over, and we as Blue Cello can provide you with a single solution to monitor, protect and guard this information. What kind of documents are we talking about? What kind of information? That depends on the phases of the asset lifecycle. Design and engineering, where we have the documents, the PFDs, the process and instrumentation diagrams, layout, isometrics, and so on. Pre-commissioning and procurement, where we do the contracts, vendor selection. The construction, where we have the operating manuals, procedures, etc. And the commissioning, where we also have to do the certificates. The items mentioned in red are very important items that we need to manage within the life cycle and are in a lot of cases mandatory to provide successful operations once the plant becomes effective and in production. This is the demo scenario where we will have 4 sections. First we're going to create the project. We're going to start the basis of design, starting from drawings, from templates, importing, mass importing documents, etc. Then we go on to the detail engineering, where we're going to outsource the engineering data to a contractor. The contractor will also receive the data, start working on it, send it back for review, validation and approval by the owner-operator again. At the end, when the project is finished, we're going to hand over data to operations, where it becomes available in the in maintenance mode for the as-built master documents. After that, we can start making comments on the released master data for plant optimizations and further processing. So this is in brief the demonstration scenario, and we have 40 minutes left to go through that. So that will be fine. Usually it takes a little bit longer, of course, to execute this kind of a project, but we have reserved 1 hour for today to show you all the highlights of the application. So I will switch now to the live environment right here. I am logged in to the Meridian Web Access client. It has a completely, this is Meridian 2014 Service Pack 1. It has a completely revised user interface. It's ready to go and ready to deploy in web-based environments, and that's also what you need if you want to hand over information in a web-based portal. So what do we see? On the left side, which is you see the industry best practice template, as we can show it, as we have called it internally, and we manage all kind of information. Like most important in this case are the projects. We have several type of projects depending on the use case. You can have capital projects where you start investments, or major projects where we go to the phasing, as we have shown you already in the presentation. In this case, it can be based on the customer needs, but this is just an example of a major project where we do a feasibility analysis, selection phase, basis of design, detailed engineering, construction, commissioning, and handover. Yep. What you don't see in the project phase is the maintenance and operations, because after the handover in here, the documents, the plant-related documents, will be handed over to the master environment. So if you remember the system of record, where we have the masters, the work in progress, and the exchange data, the work in progress is what we do in the project, what the EPCs typically do, but also in combination with owner-operators, depending on the role assignment. Once the data has been released for as-built, the data can be handed over to the master directory, master folder. Okay, let's start with the project. I'm not going, because time is limited, to a full major project. What we're going to do is we're going to start with a small project called an administrative change. And what I will do, I will create the project from here. We have also different type of projects, because you can imagine that especially huge projects have main and sub-projects. What we can do is we can create main and related projects underneath the project. For now, I will just go for the sub-project and start a new project. There we go. Once it is finished, it will automatically provide you with a prefix. So we do automatic naming, not just on the folders, but also on the documents that we will create later. What you can also do when you start a project and you have pre-defined phases, you can already define a sub-level, and you can define a substructure within your folder structure if you want to. However, it is also possible to define the folder structure at the moment you create new documents. So I'm now starting with a new project. What we can do from here is just add a document from a system, from another system, for example from your file drive or from a template or any location basically. Yep. I will create a project plan now, and as soon as I create the project or the document I should say, I come up with a pop-up window, a wizard, where we have to specify the metadata. As you can see in this particular metadata screen, a lot of information is already pre-populated. For example, the project information. Because I started this document from the AP webinar project, it will already populate my information in there. Because I'm working in a certain area, a certain plant, it will already provide me with that information. What the system doesn't know yet is what I have to fill in. And when there is a red arrow, a red dot in front of the line item, then you have to fill it in. So the discipline, this is a project plan, so I fill in the discipline project management. And this is what we call a cascading lookup list. So because I selected this discipline, I will have a limited list of discipline codes. Now this list is still a long list, so you have to find, and this list, by the way, is based on what we call the process industry practice. It is a best practice and also a standard based out of the United States, where we have a number of predefined classification structures. And when I will start the design, you will see that I will go into a process or a piping document where you will have another list to choose from. In this case, I select the project file, and the next one is a title. As you can see, the title is also mandatory in this case, and the rest is optional. It automatically populates the information with who I am, what I do, and I can also select what do I want to do with the document. Well, this document I can send out for comments, quotation, construction, approval, design, all kind of release purposes can be defined here. Also, when you have to release a master document or a project document to as-built, then sooner or later you will have to select the as-built phase. This is a project document, so I'm just going for the approval of this document, which is fine for now. Once the document is ready, it will automatically upload the document to the system, but on top of that it will also create the project structure. Because I've selected the project document and the project file, it will create a structure for me at any level within the project. So the project plan is created from a template. We have the metadata available. As soon as it is created, it becomes under change. That's part of the workflow. I will show you a more extensive workflow when we come to the technical documents. We have a built-in viewer that will show you the document. In this case, it's a Word document, so it's no big deal, I would say. But when you go to more original formats, CAD formats, for example, this viewer will support you with more than 400 different file formats. The properties that I have populated are also filled in, as you can see here, and they are taking into account what you could do. And again, that's what we do at the CAD documents. You can exchange the properties with the properties in Word, but you can also exchange the properties that you fill in here with the title block information of the CAD file, for example. Now, okay, from here you can easily open up the document, and you can do a lot of more other things with the document, of course, which I will not go into detail right now. For now, I just want to edit the document, so I say I start the document. The document is downloaded to my local workspace, and that is also a quite interesting phenomena, because the local workspace is helping you to have the documents locally available, which increases, especially in this web-based environment, increases the performance and the speed of the typing and editing of the file. Well, a nice thing here, you saw that I had the description webinar project file. The description is automatically taken into account for this particular document. And all other text, you can just start typing your document in here, and that will automatically be saved when I save this document. Yeah, initially it's saved in the local workspace, but the local workspace has an automatic synchronization of these documents back to the centralized environment. So you won't even notice the difference. You can just save the document, close the document, and it is ready to go. Yep. So this document can now go into the workflow, but this one is an internal document, so we keep it within the project. The next thing I'm going to do is add some real engineer content to this process. And now I don't want to do it one by one, I want to do it mass import. And there are several ways of mass importing. We have document import tools. In this case I will just use drag and drop. That sounds easy enough for me and most of our customers. So what we have here is the import documents wizard, and actually you can just drag and drop files which I have already available here. The files can come in from everywhere again. And what we will do now is I just take 3 documents at one go, and I will fill in the properties like we did with the project plan. Although now you see that there is a complete different pop-up list of documents that you have available to start working on. And because I selected the process discipline, I will now have to look up the P&ID, because these are P&IDs, and the process and instrumentation diagram is right over here. Once I've selected one field, it doesn't matter if I select the classification code, the discipline code, the classification itself, it will automatically populate the rest of the information. Furthermore, we have a little addition here, is the apply for all other documents of this type. And that's handy because I've got 3 piping documents here, and I apply this wizard for all documents at once. So that's easy, then I don't have to think about it again. Same applies here. Piping diagrams, there we go. And finish it up. So the documents are now uploaded, as you can see, to the system. This can take a little time depending on the speed of the application and where you are in the process. But after that is done, the documents will be available in the system. So they're now centralized and they're now immediately put under change. From here, we've got the same metadata. We can again view the documents. Right here, it's building up my document, and you see it's a piping diagram, as we can show here. Right. So this is interesting, and this also concludes the first part of the demonstration. Let me now switch back to the demo scenario, so to summarize where we are and to summarize where we're going. There we go. So what we have done, we have defined a project, although it is a small project. We have created and copied a project plan from a project plan template. We have created a number of base drawings, base designs in the system under the process folder, and we have added multiple P&ID documents, right? So that's the first step of the process. The first 2 steps actually. Next, we will start detailed engineering. So we're gonna first add some more documents to the process, but we're also gonna start outsourcing those documents to third parties. And that's one of the handover steps that are really important in this process. So stay with me and I will show you the handover to EPCs. There we go. So we got a couple of documents already. What I will now do for this particular demonstration, I will add some existing documents for my master environment. Yep. As I said, the master environment contains all released as-built master documents. I already did some process. Let's add some electrical here. There we go. So I got a couple of documents. I can also use the multiple select over here. Quite handy again. And create a project copy. Now this is an interesting part to talk about, because this is what we call project workflow. What you can do is that we separate the master data from the project data, and that is an immense impact in the integrity and the consistency of your documentation. Owner operators, and especially operation maintenance people and engineers, will always look at the latest released version of the data, the as-built master data. When you want to change this data, you have to change it in a project, a management of change project, whatever project. So what you can do here is you can create project copy, and you can create the project copy and put a lock on it. The second option is when we use advanced project workflow and facilitate concurrent engineering. Concurrent engineering in this case means that you can have multiple copies of one document and move that in multiple projects at the same time. For example, you have a quick change in a quick project and you have a big change in a revamp or overhaul project. Then you have multiple projects going on at the same time. Yep. For now, I will just create a project copy in my newly created project. As you can see, it is automatically available. You only see the available project in this window, by the way. And I'm going to select the new documents right here. And the documents will be copied to the electrical folder in the project. Yep. So what I've now done, what I have done now is I have created a project copy of the document. This is the document, and there is a blue triangle up here that tells me that this is a copy of a master document. And when I select the master document or the triangle, I see the master document in this screen. So you know where you have made the copy from. Okay. You can also navigate to that master document, but that's not what we're going to do. I'm going to close this one, go back to the document, and what you also see is that the status of this document is still unchanged, right? What I want to do now from here is assign it to my contractor, one or many contractors, because for every discipline or every sub-project you can have different contractors, of course. I pick up the documents, we do it all, or you can even do it from a folder, and I'm going to start the workflow. I'm going to start the change. When I do so, I get a list of choices, and this list is based on the rules that you have set up within the organization. In this case, I'm not going to assign it to myself. I'm going to assign it to Wesley, and Wesley is my EPC contractor that we have provided with access to our system. Our system is very secure. The first line of defense is Active Directory, so you need to be a member of Active Directory. Well, typically external users like Wesley is not part of Active Directory. Therefore, we can also add additional users with their own authentication. We have different type of authentications also related to the Windows background, the Windows system that we are using. In this case, Wesley is part of my system, so I can just add the documents to him. Okay, the documents will be assigned in a minute. There we go. And let's refresh. There we go. What you can see now is that the documents are under change, so that is the next step in the life cycle. The to-do is change the documents by Wesley. You can also see that there is a red marker that I am not allowed to change this document because this document is now under change by Wesley. So Wesley is the one that needs to change the document. I'm also going to check my process documents right here, and I see that they are also under change, but they are under change by me, right? By administrator. So I will also want to put this work into the contractor, and I'm going to reassign the to-do person. That's another way of assigning work to the EPC. Okay, so more work. So now we see in total 7 items on the to-do list of the EPC contractor. Alright, that's all done. What I will do now is I will switch to the EPC contractor, and there are a few things you have to keep in mind. At this moment I see everything. I see projects, objects, master, library, documentation, archive, so my full internal system. I also have all functionality available in this environment as this user, administrator. So when I now switch to another user, there we go, we switch to Wesley. Wesley has his own view. And the good thing is, as you can see, this person can only look into projects, and we can even limit the access to the project to every phase of the project, to be more specific. So that's all done within our environment. So you can really provide this user with the correct access rights. We also use scopes to do that. The scopes are determining what somebody can see, which functionality is available, what kind of things you can do with the information. Yep. The funny part is you don't see the webinar project here, but I think when I refresh the page, there we go. You see that the AP webinar is now available. Another way of looking at the workload is notification. We have standard SMTP compliant email integration. So Wesley in this case is also notified by email that there is work to do for him that he has to follow up on. Another way of looking at what the work that somebody has to do is using the to-do list, and you can have this to-do list for every individual that's using the system. So now I'm going to look at the to-do list of Wesley, and you see that under change there are a number of documents that are not approved, and there are also a number of documents that need to be worked on, right? So in this view you actually see the 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 documents we have assigned to Wesley, and another one that is still needs to be done. Okay. So here we have those documents. I don't think I already showed. Yeah, I've already shown this one, and there is another one right here. So these are all under change by Wesley, right? So how is he going to change it? Remember, we are still looking at the web-based interface. Well, guess what? Wesley is an engineer and he has AutoCAD on his system. And as you can see, these DWG files are original AutoCAD files. So Wesley can now select one of these files because they are under change for him. You can also send information of documents for information only, then they would be read only, so you could not edit them. In this case you can edit the document and you can just open the document or download the document. Again, this list of functions depends on the scope this particular contractor is working in. As you can see, this contractor can do quite a lot, but you can limit this list towards the necessary functionality of this particular contractor. I'm now going to open the document, and guess what? The document is opening up in AutoCAD, of course, because it's an AutoCAD document. So here you can make some changes. Oh, let's do it a little different. There we go. And I keep it very simple today. I'm just going to copy this item right here, and I'm going to change the name to another object. There we go. And done. So that's the change Wesley had to do. By the way, since we are working in AutoCAD anyway, at the title block information over here, you can see that all properties that we have filled in during the process are automatically imported and synchronized in the title block. Wait, maybe I have to zoom a little bit into the title block of this particular PNID or circuit diagram. It's not PNID, circuit diagram. Okay, so it's under change. It's created by Adam. That's correct. That was me in the previous session. And the technical reference is the administrator. Now, that's all good. Good to know. We also see the revision. It's also automatically imported from our system. And so that's all synchronized fully automatically. So you see an enormous improvement of the automatic handover and exchange of data, because the data is already there. The people don't have to worry about it anymore. On top of that, you already saw that in Word that we exchanged properties. We also have menus. In this case, Autodesk is using a ribbon, so we have added the blue cello to the ribbon, and we can edit the properties, update the vault, update the drawing, save and release, and a lot of other good things that we want to do to exchange information more efficiently. So actually, contractors like Wesley do not have to work in Meridian anymore. They just can use the ribbon to exchange the data from there. So if I want to update properties, I can just select properties here and make the changes as we go along. There we are. Oh, I need to fill in the plant. That's a good one. There we go. As I just did, for those of you that work with AutoCAD, they could already see what happened. It automatically synchronizes the title block information, right? So that's very good. Let's put the extents right, and then I want to update the vault from here. Remember, we can still be in a web-based environment and update the properties from here, update the vault from here, do everything remotely. That's the key differentiator of today's demonstration. Okay, I'm going to save it, I'm going to close it, and this one is done. There we go. Let's do another change, just for the record. There we go, and I'm going to cut out some of the components here. Up, let's see what happens. That's better. Okay, these can stay. Yep, fair enough. Also, we want to have some changes here. No, that's okay. We can do that. I've already shown it. Save and close. Okay, so these are updated. The thumbnail is not updated automatically. We can do that, but it only takes. It will update automatically when we go along. Okay, so I'm done with 2 documents as a contractor. And what I can do from here, I can start the review, right? So basically what I'm going to do as a contractor, I'm going to hand over and send it back to the originator. And this is all it takes. You just can pop up the review, you can start the review and send it back to the administrator. No fuss, no hassle, no difficult things. I select OK, and now the documents are synchronized back to the owner-operator, or the project owner, or whoever you want to send it back to. Yep. So, done. And if I'm lucky, they will remove automatically from my to-do list. So I have just cleaned up my to-do list with 2 less documents. Okay, that's this part. So now I will return back to the owner-operator as a project owner to see what goes on the other side. There we go. Before I go in back as Adam administrator, I will show you where we are in the scenario to summarize it. So what we have done now is we did some detailed engineering and construction on an electrical document in this case, but it can be any discipline. And now I'm going to start the following session for validation and approval, where multiple disciplines are going to approve the document inside the Meridian environment. When that is done, I will hand over the documents to operations, where they are going to be released to master and rendered to PDF. So I'm logging in as owner-operator again. And what I can see, if I refresh the page, of course normally you refresh it all the time, I will see that I now have 2 documents in review. This is one way of looking at. Of course, the administrator could also get an email notification, but he can also look at the to-do list, right? No, I don't need this one. The to-do list. Oh, Wesley is still editing it, so that is also immediately the check if the document is still being edited by another user, or if he has not released the data because there is some processing going on. You can also see that it is still locked. So we have to wait a little while. In the meantime, I can just pick up one of my other documents that I have available in the process and start doing the review from here. Yep. So start review here and assign this to one of myself. There we go. Okay, I want to release it as built. Why? Because then I can release it to the master document at the end. Okay, that's being done. It's now in review, and you see that I did not only, no, not this one, this one. Let's go here. Yeah, I did send it to myself. Okay, and the review is now done by myself and also by a third party. So here is where you can do your squad check. This document is not only on my to-do list, but it is also on the to-do list of, in this case, Pamela, the project manager. for this particular project. In the definition of the life cycle, we define who has to do the reviewing. Is it one person? Is it many people? Is it one out of many? Or is it all of them? Yeah. In this particular review, it is set up that one approval is enough. Typically, when you do a squad check or an IDC, interdisciplinary design check, all people have to approve it. Yeah. So that's the typical setup. Okay. Going from the document, you can say approved, and you also have to define a reason. Oh, not acknowledged. I want to approve it for all documents, and I finish up this document. There we go. Refresh. And there it is. It is now released, as you can see here. And when I select the document, you can see that as well. There is a little red marker at the status. That means that there is still a background process taking place that is not bothering us, but we still know that the PDF rendition is now automatically being created in the background by our publisher server. So what we also do upon release, but also when we hand over to master, we automatically generate and update the PDF rendition. And that's pretty logical if you think that the document work in progress also has that on the title block. But if it is released, the title block will also be updated as being released. So we release and we update the title block and also the PDF continuously as part of the process. Okay, this document has now been released, so from here I can put it back into I can hand it over to operations. And typically that takes a lot of time, a lot of difficulties to hand over data from engineering, from a project to a master document in operations. For me, it's only one click. I can just say release this document as the master revision. So from this document, I will now release it into the master right here. And the rest, I just want to use that for myself. Yeah. There we go. Next. Which will release the document. So actually it is doing two things. One is that the master document is updated in here. So now I'm looking at the master view of the documents. And secondly, a copy of the document is being put in the archive folder. That is where we keep the archive of all the project copies that have been made. So the project copy is automatically removed from the project. The moment you want to remove all the project copies, it depends on your own rules and regulations. In this example, we remove the project copy from the project once the document has been handed over to operations. You can also decide to keep the project copies in the project, just lock them, and hand them over, or archive the documents after the project has been finished. So there are two ways to set this up. Yep. Okay, this document is now ready and it's released in the master process ICD. As you can see, I'm just going to check the master file. In this case, it's not a very interesting file, but I also want to check if my PDF has been made. As you can see, the PDF has been generated out of this document. And that, again, is a very useful function if you want to publish only the PDFs to either the Meridian Explorer, which is our web-based application for owner-operators, but you can also publish the PDFs to other ECM kind of applications like SharePoint, OpenText LiveLink, etc. Yep. So that's typically what we use the PDFs for. Another use case of the PDFs is the watermarking and electronic signatures that we can also place within those documents. So that is the handover process. I still want to look at my if the others are already done and finished. So right here I have a little time for that. So those are still in the works and I should have, yep, let's see if I can approve those two. Approve, yep. There we go. So now the background process has been finished and I can approve these documents. I want to apply that for all 2 documents that I have selected over here and also release these 2 documents, right? So they are released. Oh. I lost them for a second. There we go. The one is still under rendition. Okay, so that's fine, but they are released, so that's good. And what I also want to do, I want to release these two documents to the master. If there are multiple project copies, I can also confirm merge with master, confirm substitute with master. That is when we have concurrent engineering. We're not going to show that in this 1 hour session, but that's also something we definitely have on the shelf to use as a unique feature. So I release these two to the master. There we go, and they should be archived right away. Yeah. There we are. Okay, these were electrical, I'm sorry. My mistake. So, what you can see now is the two documents I was working on have been released to master. You can also see that there has been a new main revision. What we have is we can look at the revisions of those documents. So I have to select one, and then I can no, not modify. So this is the document, and there we are. I want to compare the document, and I first want to go to my revision. Okay, I'm not able to find that so quickly now. Okay, that function needs to be in the scope in order to see it. Apparently I missed out on it, so I cannot show that at the moment. Okay, so we skip that for the moment, but we also have a comparison between the new and the old file. Yeah, I might have another trick to go to this one. There we go. There we go. So we have a 2008 and we have this one, and then I want to have the comparison going on. Yeah. Okay, we get there. Oh no, this is the previous one, so those are the same. Okay. Let's skip this for now, but it's possible to compare the two documents if you have the previous revision available. Okay, so with that we conclude this part of the demonstration. To summarize what we have done, we have sent out the documents to a contractor. The contractor has worked on the documents, changed the documents, as you can see over here. The changes have been approved and validated by the internal organization and have been released to the master document folder, where the documents have been released and become available to the operations and maintenance people. Yeah. Okay, I will now go back to my scenario. So because there's one more thing to show, and then we're done for this session. We have released documents to the master. We have rendered the documents to PDF. We have archived the project documents. The last step, the last part of the program, is the maintain and optimize, where I will show you the plan breakdown view and we can comment and redline on the documents. Okay, that's something we can do in the Web Access client as well, but we have a better tool for that, and that is the Blue Channel Explorer. What we have to do there is you can synchronize data between Meridian and Explorer automatically. You can also do it on demand if you wish. So what I can do, I can just run the task and update the documents from within the Meridian database into the Explorer environment when it becomes available for the entire maintenance and operations community. So while it is doing that, I go to my Bluecello Explorer client, and as you can see, what we have done here is we also have created different views and different aspects. So we can have supplier document, client documents, or all documents which are available in this environment. And when I select, for example, the customer documents, I will only see the master released as built documents. Okay, that's a filter we apply on this information. We also have views, property-based views, navigation views, form searches, etc. What I will do now is I will show you a discipline view where we had the documents before, like the circuit diagram I was showing you, and you can see that some of the documents have been updated already, right here. That's the latest revision, while others have not been synchronized now, and that's a process that's currently taking into place. What we can see, though, is that these documents have a project copy. So these, when you are working from your enterprise asset management application, you can already see which documents are work in progress. You can't see the work in progress documents themselves, but you know that the master document has a project copy. Basically, that's what this is showing. Yep. What we can also do is decide which properties do we want to synchronize. Of course, we have the revision and the general information, the classification information, the viewer, which you can view either native or in PDF format, of course, which is again a decision. And we could see the project copies, and I should say this one right here. And here you can see that there is a copy, project copy at the moment that has a revision. Yeah, so you can look at this, although you cannot see the project copy itself. You can just see that there is a copy. Okay, one other important thing, so let's take a release document right here, is the commenting feature. So if I take the document, I can see that there are already comments, and there is already a rendition. So when I go to the comments, I can basically provide feedback on all technical information in our system. This is the feedback function. There are two items I want to show. One is the redlining, or let's do blue lining today. There we go. And you can mark up the document with your own comments and your own information. Attached, there we go. So I add a little note here, as you can see, and when I save the red line, it will be uploaded to the system and it will appear on the right side here, and in this red line I can move it to a blue line, see comments. I can also attach other information with the attach function over here if I have accompanying documents. So this is the redlining and commenting function that we have available in the Explorer. These red lines are fed back into the web access client. So we have this document 104433 drawing. I'm going to close it so everything is saved here. What I can do from here is I can go back to the web access client just by one click, no more, no less. And from here you can, oh, not here, from the comments field you can show the comments as I just shown before. So now I'm in the web access client, and in the web access client I can see that there are comments. So this is a closed loop. We actually have closed the asset lifecycle completely, that we can make changes and start a new change from this document onwards. With this I conclude my demonstration, and I will open up the environment for the call for questions and answers. Let me return to Susan. I want to go here. There we go. To summarize, we have just archived or just shown the plant breakdown view of the master data, and we have also provided comments and redline on the documents. So if you go back to the asset lifecycle, as you can see over here, we have started the process planning and definition. We designed a couple of documents. We outsourced the documents to a contractor. We did the validation and approval of the documents, handed it over to the master environment. From the master, we did we went into the maintenance, Blue Cello Explorer environment. We did some analysis, we made a change and made some comments, and the change and comments are now ready to be planned in the next management of change project. And with that, I summarize the presentation and I will open up for questions and answers. Susan, can you pop in?
Yes, thank you, Koen. Thanks for the presentation. So again, if anyone has any questions at this time, please enter them into the question panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and I'll read them to Koen for him to answer. Okay, first question here, Koen. We want to provide all master data to owner-operators in a neutral format. Can your solution help us do this?
Yes, at the demonstration you have seen that we provided all the content in the original format or native format. What we can do anywhere in the asset lifecycle process, as is shown over here, is can render the documents to PDF or TIFF and publish that information for the owner-operator.
Okay. Next question, how are optimizations and changes to operational assets managed?
The optimizations take place within the in the project. As you have seen, we have different type of projects. If you have a big change like a revamp or an overhaul for a particular plant or asset, then we start a kind of a investment or capital project. For the smaller changes, we use the management of change process.
Okay, another question here. How does your solution help maintain asset integrity and consistency?
What we do, and also something we have not shown in this webinar, but there will be other webinars, we have so-called links to assets, and by providing a link to an asset or an object, we provide regulatory compliance. To give you an example, equipment under pressure equipment in this case, can be needs a certificate in order to operate the equipment, and the relation between the we can guarantee the relationship between the certificate and the asset itself.
Okay, next question. How does this formalize the data exchange with our contractors?
Well, as you can see in this demonstration, we have handed over the data seamlessly to the engineering contractor, but we can also work with closed work packages and transmittal sheets and document submittals in order to formalize the data process. So that's a more formal process that we will provide in the Blue Cello portal in order to formalize the data exchange with contractors.
Okay. How does your system help maintain regulatory compliance?
What we do is, as you probably have seen in the demonstration, is we have industry standards in place. We are standard lookup list for example, the process industry practice and also ISO practices in place to make sure that the data entered into the system is compliant with the regulations. And that also allows us to publish and make the data available in a certain format that will help the regulations to see that you have done the right completeness check on the data.
Okay, let's take one final question here. We are an EPCM working with multiple owner-operators. How would you help us manage all these different projects?
Yeah, that's a good point. You have seen that I've only worked with one EPC contractor as an example. Of course, you can also look at from the other side, that you are the engineering, the EPCM contractor, and you manage a lot of projects for a lot of customers. What we can do is we can set up a vault for every customer you have to facilitate, and within that vault we manage the customer-specific processes and procedures. Because what we have seen is that although we have a best practice in place, all customers have their own variant and their own process that is slightly different from the standard. So that's how we facilitate this. from an EPCM perspective.
Okay. Thanks, Koen. Thank you all for your questions, and thanks again, Koen, for your detailed answers. If we didn't answer your specific question, we'll have somebody follow up with you individually to do so. Otherwise, if you have any additional questions or would like more information about other upcoming events, you can visit our website. Also, as a reminder, all those attending today will receive a thank you email from us with a link to view the recording of this webinar. And lastly, when you close your GoToWebinar browser today, you'll be prompted to fill out a short 5-question survey about this webinar. We ask that you take a few moments to provide us with your feedback so that we can continue to improve our future webinars. So with that, thank you everyone for attending and have a great day.